All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is one of my custom D&D campaigns set in my Well, actually, this one is set up in a demi-plane that's somewhat connected to my screwed up custom world and the people below me have really got to start considering the choices they make before they make them. All of this could have been avoided, like playing a game with me, if they had just thought about maybe not. But yes, hello. Really quick, two announcements ish. One, still continuing my Final Fantasy XIV cross D&D extravaganza thing on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/trainerjody. We covered a subclass for the Red Mage from Final Fantasy XIV. The subclass is called the Sword Dancer, and it's kind of cool. So far, I've covered the Gunbreaker, the Dark Knight, the Dragoon, and now I'm halfway through the Red Mage. I'm working my way through all of the classes. They're super cool. So check that out. But even bigger news. One of the largest Legend of Zelda fan sites in existence, Zelda Universe. I actually run an RPG for them every other Saturday, except for this Saturday, because starting, I think, tomorrow at noon Pacific time, they're doing ZU-thon, which is their annual charity event where they basically play through every Zelda game in existence. And one of the donation rewards, if they can raise $1,000 by 6 p.m. Pacific on Sunday, I will be running an event called Realms Extra Randomized, which Realms of the Wild is the show that I run. And it's an open legend. The system we use is open legend for it, and it's an RPG set in Breath of the Wild, so we call it Realms of the Wild. And I have this system I created for our anniversary game last year, where when you activate certain things, you can randomize what classes the characters are. The classes are strange things like Mouse Burglar or Pacificuffer, or other just nonsense words that I thought were really cool, like phlebotomizer or nephrologist, which is actually just a type of doctor that works with the endocrine system. Specifically, I believe they kick kidneys. But nephrologist just sounded like a school of magic. So I'm like, cool, whatever. So yeah, for donations, which we haven't completely set what the donation amounts will be, but they won't be exorbitant. You can come in and randomly change the character classes they're playing. You randomly change the genre we're playing in. You can randomly create magic items that they can use that I roll on 3 different tables and add things together to create these just bizarre items. Or you can make them change what characters they're actually playing, where we will make the players switch the characters they're playing and things like that. So all that stuff is going. It's going to raise money for Direct Relief, which is helping out with COVID-19 stuff, and have been since, I believe, since shortly after the pandemic and lockdowns started. So yeah, please tune in to that. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be on twitch.tv/Zelda Universe TV. And like I said, the marathon starts noon Pacific time tomorrow, and they will be playing Zelda games all the way up until 6 p.m. on Sunday, which we will definitely hit $1,000. And then after that, if we hit another goal that I can't remember what it was, Forced Minish, girl by the name of Rebecca, who's amazing, I believe we'll be doing a Link to the Past randomizer run as another incentive goal. So lots of fun stuff. They do. It's a really great group. I've been running Realms of the Wild now for almost 4 years for them, and I've known a lot of the people there longer than that. So they're a great group. It's a great charity. Go support it. Otherwise, I think that's all my announcements. Are any of you guys doing anything special? Cool. Well, I'm certain all of you will show up sometime over the next 5 days or whatever it is in ZU just to say that I sent you. Right?
Trainer Jody sends his regards.
Yes, Trainer Jody sends his regards. Roll for initiative! Yeah. They have, we have a rule there. In Open Legend, you have these things called legend points that the DM can award for good role playing, and there's a couple other mechanics built in, but it lets you give yourself advantage on a roll, which in Open Legend is you roll one additional die. So if you have like advantage 3, your die rolls are based on your attribute score. So let's say normally you would roll a d20 plus 2d6. Well, with advantage 3, you would roll a d20 plus 5d6 and take the 2 highest. And all dice explode in Open Legend, meaning if you roll the highest number you can, you will keep that and then roll again and add to it, and they can keep it exploding to the point where I had someone roll 1d20 plus 1d10 and they got a 60 something because they rolled I think a 42 on the d20 and like another 20 something on the d10. Both of them exploded to the twice. It was amazing. So yeah, anyway, we have a rule that if you break the DM, you get a free legend point, and so they're constantly just saying bizarre, completely off the wall things to see if they can break me for, free legend points. Anyway, I think that means it's time to return to Cruciatalia. The party has discovered something from their past. While traveling through Middenwell, they found a group of nobles who were passing through the town and decided to try and pick a fight with one of the party members. Vala, being relatively well versed in the world of the nobility of Cruciatalia, was able to defuse the situation and to turn it into an invite to one of the nicer villas. When they were there, they were shown something strange. A thing is all it was called, but it was a humanoid that one of the party recognized as a former member of the Blood Council. Realizing that something was up with this creature that seemed impossible to kill, though seemed to get hurt and experience pain just like any other creature. So the party got clever and decided to try to force the creature to do the one thing it couldn't do: find its token that kept it enslaved. When the magic was enacted to try and do what must not be done, they incurred the wrath of Lord Noctis, ruler of this realm. At the moment when he was about to banish the noble that they had learned, or they had met, and they had also found out was someone Liliana knew from life before the Debbie Plane. Liliane stepped in and beseeched the Dark Lady, goddess of death, to save her former friend. Liliane was taken before the Dark Lady and told that a price must be paid, and that is where we left it. All right, so to kind of reset the stage, Liliane, all around you is darkness, except for a small 10-foot in diameter circle of light. Everything outside the circle is to darkness, but it's not like a normal darkness. This darkness seems to undulate, seems to have mass, seems to have form. And while you look at it, you notice the darkness start to change shape. It starts to form a face, a body. While you can't pick out specifics, something about this form entices you, enwraps you, but at the same time terrifies you. It speaks, but the words are so powerful and so forceful you can't understand their meaning. But in your heart, you feel their meaning. You're asked to make a choice. To save your friend, a price must be paid, a very deep price. In your heart, you can feel the choice has been presented. Pay the price and save your friend, or deny it and lose it. What do you do, Liliane?
I say, tell me what movie is.
Again, you hear a voice speak. You know their words in the response, but the force of the spoken words are so powerful you clutch your hands over your ears. And even then, it doesn't stop the thunderous sound. You feel it reverberate in your bones. Your joints ache as the bones are rustled against each other. Every open cavity in your body resonates and increases the power of these words. And you start to see in your mind's eye a picture. It's hazy at first, but as it becomes more and more clear, you see, as if looking from above, a picture of the Blood Council. The long, curved table they all sat at, the 13 different positions. And you can see the members of the Blood Council sitting there. And then you watch as a wave of blood washes everything but the council members away. You watch the council members shrink and writhe and become shadows of their former self. and one of them moves forward, and you can see it's the council member that you've already met that was transformed into this the thing. And you see a small crystalline object in front of them that the creature reaches out, grabs, and consumes. And you watch the hunched, writhing form slowly stand up. The skin and bones nature of it start to fade. You see muscles start to develop again. See it stand up straighter. You see scars and things like that slowly start to heal. And while not the same as it was before, you see that creature whole. As you see the 12 other writhing figures, you see a crystalline object near each of them. And you watch them rise up and vanish over the horizon. For every 2 that vanish, you feel a chunk of your own essence get ripped away with them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 6 pieces of your life essence are ripped from you and connected to these crystalline essences. As you look back, you see yourself standing in front of these 12 misshapen beings. And you turn and look behind you to see a large door. On the other side, you see the darkness that is coalesced into this form that you can't even bring yourself to look at for more than a moment. And you watch as the door shuts and locks. And 12 keyholes appear on the bar, preventing the door from opening again. As the door closes, you feel yourself start to wither slightly. You feel some of your strength leave you. Then you're back in the circle. You hear a word in your mind. Choose.
Do I get any feeling of what I'm being asked to do?
For the most part, due to the kind of chaotic nature of everything going on, you're not 100% certain. What you are aware of is if you make this choice, you will be inexorably tied to the fate of the remaining 12 council members. And from what you get from what you've seen and what you can kind of feel is if you are able to rescue all of them, the pieces that have been torn out of you will be regained. And you will again be able to open the door. If you can't get all of them, then the pieces will not be recoverable and the door will remain closed.
Um, to see what another thing I have thought.
Sorry, you said I accept, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you say that, you feel something plunge into your chest. And you look down expecting to see a white hot dagger or something with how hard it burns. But you actually see a feminine hand reaching into your chest and pull out 6 perfectly spherical blood red orbs. Takes them and throws them into the darkness where they vanish. And all of a sudden, you're back. For the rest of you, you saw this kind of portal open and energy start pouring out. You heard the voice of Lord Noctis condemning this person to death. You watched as they started to desiccate in front of you, and then you watched as Liliane reached her hands up, and it seemed as if time stopped for a second. Everything froze. All of you froze. You even stopped breathing as you watched Liliane start to rise into the air and slowly moved so that she was placed in between the noble and the portal. And with a brilliant flash of deep indigo light, the portal was shut. Liliane falls to the ground in a heap, and the noble is blasted back out of the throne they were sitting in onto the stairs nearby, holding his heart. Liliane, your maximum hit points has been reduced by 60.
Yeah. I am able to know.
All right. And any clerics or paladins of the Dark Lady have now lost the ability to pray for new spells, as the Dark Lady has been cut off from this demiplane.
Meanwhile, in Henri's mind, he's like, fuck you. I knew she was bad.
Argenta just kisses the symbol of the raging dervish that she carries with her.
Just wait, we'll find a way to cut everybody off. And as soon as Liliane hits the ground, like that, all of you start breathing again. You also notice that the thing at the bottom is not a thing anymore. You guys can clearly see a vampire wearing tattered clothing, and looking a fair bit frailer than you last remember seeing them. But undoubtedly, you recognize trying to remember. I believe it was it Merovingian?
I believe so.
Yes,
I
it was.
believe so.
You see the Lord of House Merovingian kind of clutching himself, and you see him trying to bring the tatters of clothing he has to try and regain some small amount of modesty. As you look up, you can see he has a tongue, which is something he did not have previously. And you can see something you don't think any of you have ever seen before. Small streaks of red coming out of the corners of his eyes. As he lies on the ground, weeping openly.
I'll approach him.
Well, he's, again, in kind of a gladiator-style pit. Roughly about, I believe it's 15 feet below your current area. So if you want to jump down there, you can.
Yeah.
All right. So as you hop down, go ahead and make a acrobatics to check. Just to see how bad landing 15 feet down is for you.
10.
Yeah, you're fine. Your muscles sting a little bit as you go down, because 15 feet's a decent fall height. But you don't feel any lasting effects. As you
Pull up.
as you land down there, you see him instantly recoil, and he brings up a hand, and you feel the hairs on the back of your neck start to raise ever so slightly, as they do when magic is being chanted. But he's so weak that as he focuses, you see his eyes start to roll a little bit, and he collapses again, far too weak to cast any spells.
I mean, another place maybe, but right now we can't afford to be enemies. And I'll start pulling out a set of clothes that I've had since the beginning, since I've changed clothes like 17 times in this campaign.
This was my season 1 outfit.
This
I'll
is my post-annihilation sphere outfit.
I'll walk over to Lillian to make sure she's conscious.
Yeah, bye.
As you go over, the first thing you notice is there's no movement in her body.
Yeah.
She's not breathing currently.
I'll cast Cure Wounds just to see if it'll work.
Okay. As you do, you place a hand on her and you cast Cure Wounds. The healing magic goes in, and you watch as her chest expands, and she just gulps in air. Lillian, you remember the hand piercing you, immense pain, the blood-red spheres disappearing, and then darkness, and then suddenly a burst of light. As you gulp in air, you see Argenta with her hand coming away from you ever so slightly. And your chest still aches incredibly.
I read the way the hand was. And then I set up.
That was rather strange. I kind of have some sense of what happened based on what you said, but are you okay?
Am I visibly weaker at all?
Yes. Your skin has taken on a significantly more pale look. There are now permanent dark circles underneath both of your eyes. And because of how you fell, your shirt was open in such a way that at least a little bit, I don't know exactly how covered you are normally, but you would have noticed at least a little bit at the very top, you have a scar of some sort. That if you investigate fully, you now have, going across your chest, 6 perfectly circular scars, each one with a different symbol or pair of symbols inside them. The symbols are of a writing style you have never seen before, so you have no idea what they mean. And as you kind of move around and everything, you feel physically weaker. Your clothes feel heavier, your limbs feel heavier. Even your sword, which you have picked up hundreds and hundreds of times, for some odd reason, feels much heavier and much more difficult to grip.
I feel weak, but give it some time. I probably don't think time. What happened to Alex, the noble?
I just kind of look over to where he skidded.
He is conscious, but looks to be in kind of a daze. He keeps kind of like petting his arms and kind of focusing on nothing. He almost seems like he's in shock.
I mean, he's alive.
How weak can we get up? Kind of, take you and then I'll make my way over to did he react to me at all?
So I didn't hear that the last sentence.
After I get up, I slowly make my way over to him.
Okay.
Did he react to me at all?
Yeah, as you get closer, he still seems kind of out of it. Did you want to try and browse him or anything, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
I cut his arm and,
As you touch his arm, he instantly reacts like he's been woken from a daze. He grabs the back of your hand and twists it in an attempt to try and kind of armbar you down, which is something that the Alex that you knew had learned kind of as a defensive method when he was living on the streets. He would just very quickly kind of do that and then get away because people weren't expecting someone of his size and stature to be able to do anything like that. But as he tries to, even in your weakened state, he's not able to do anything because he's not able to commit. And then he sees her and he goes, Liliane?
yeah, me.
And you see this kind of rush of emotions just flood out of him. It's been... You don't know what I've done. And I was there. And it was me, but it wasn't, and I didn't want to, but at the same time, I really wanted to, and I did it, on purpose, Lillian. I did it on purpose, and no one should ever do that on purpose. No one should do that on, but I did it on purpose. What the hell's going on?
I think I am my new friend. I think we've all been through something like that. To be honest, I not quite sure what's going on. All I know is this place it made her suffer.
Lillian, you've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me. Don't worry about Rosa. Don't worry about anyone. You need to leave. This place isn't just wrong. There isn't a word for it, Lillian, but you've got to, whatever it takes. Don't worry about anyone. And he, like, drags you in really close. Don't worry about your friends. Don't worry about your lovers. None of it. The only thing that matters is get the hell out of here. It doesn't matter what you do. There is no line to cross. Whatever horrible thing, whatever bad thing you're not willing to do here, this place will make you do worse.
Let me know. I know.
And you see him kind of shudder again and start to sob for a second. And then he kind of chokes it back and looks around. We need to get out of here. Now.
Yes. Can you come with us?
Yeah. That's. And you see him just kind of get up and start walking towards the door. And you see he keeps like petting his arm the entire time he's doing this. He goes to the door and doesn't really open the door as much as he walks through the door and it opens because of the force. And he just keeps going down the hallway. You see the servant come forward. Was there anything else you required? Addressing you guys, because Alex has disappeared. Like he just walked and kept walking.
I know, and I am trying to follow after Alex.
The rest of you see Alex will walk out. You heard most of what he said, except for the small bit where he had Lillian pulled in closer and talked about there is no line. But you saw them have some sort of conversation, and then Alex walked out. Lillian went and followed him, and the servant came back. And you just kind of, as Lillian walks past, he just kind of looks expectantly at the rest of you.
While that was all going on, the conversation with Lillian and them, I am down in the little pit, and I'm handing the Merovingian. I don't know his name. I'm just going to call him Merovingian. I'm going to be handing him the clothes. And he's like, you don't want to do that. In your current state, you won't make it far.
His official name, most people refer to him just as Lord Merovingian, but he does have a first name, which is Lionel.
I'm standing up at the edge, just keeping hand on gun, waiting for the vampire to do anything wrong.
So I'll approach him with the clothes.
Okay.
I imagine we're similar body type, because I think he's, probably drow as well?
Yes, the entire Blood Council are all drow vampires. The quote-unquote vampire race is not entirely drow, but the vast majority are. So he kind of looks at you and takes the clothing and starts. What specifically did you give him? Like a cloak, tunic, what?
The clothes I wore underneath my old cloak that the Dark Lord gave me, so just pure black.
Okay, so like tunic and pants, effectively.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he puts them on and he looks at you and thank you.
Oh.
We have much to discuss. Yes, we do.
I'll be sitting on the edge of the pit, pull out my mess kit mug, and I just, in vampire, I say, don't react. And I'll just cut my palm with my dagger and just let the blood trickle into the mug slowly.
I mean, I kind of already did that, and I'll hand him the vial I took of my own blood.
Okay.
You're going to need your strength.
Thank you. You see him unstopper the vial. And as he drinks, you watch as his muscles start to kind of re-knit themselves. But Henri, with you being close enough, you see a grimace of pain as he drinks it. Damn, this realm.
Worth a try.
No, it helps. It's just painful to feed here.
It's the way I see it. The enemy of my enemy. We're all here by the same individual, and we all want him dead.
And he kind of holds a hand up. I would prefer to have this conversation in a different location.
All right, here. I will, I'm not going to hurt you. I'll tap his arm and dimension door us out of the pit.
Thump. Shoom. They appear. He looks at you. Very good. And you can see him trying to kind of fall into his old mannerisms of kind of pomposity, and he just can't. So when he tries to kind of raise himself up and start walking, and he hurts he just resigns himself and shuffles his way past this as a servant.
Well, I guess we're gonna have a conversation. I'll follow.
Suppose we are.
He stops for a moment and turns to the servant. Where might one freshen up in this place? And the servant, without breaking a smile, a grimace, or anything, backhands him strong enough to knock him a foot backwards. Very sorry. Was not aware it had learned to speak. I will be sure to prevent it from doing that again. You see him start pulling a dagger out of his, out of a sheath hidden on his back.
I already have a rapier drawn up to his neck.
Vala stops casting fireball.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Commander.
Yes.
Make me make me an acrobatics check.
Oh, why? Okay. 28.
$26. As you put the rapier at his neck, almost before you can react, the dagger has parried the rapier and is starting to attempt to strip it out of your hand. And pure instinct kind of takes over, and you flip the rapier over, spin it a little bit, and you actually strip the dagger from his hand as the dagger flies and implants itself into the wall opposite, and you readjust your stance to have the rapier at his neck again.
That was the necessary.
Apologize.
Uh-huh.
It is instinct. I can surmise you were less than pleased with my actions.
You can say that, yeah.
Might I remind you, I am the head of household for one of the nobles of Middenvale. If you spill my blood, Lord Noctis himself will ensure you pay my debts.
Well, I mean, I've always been told that I tend to break things, so it doesn't really bother me.
You hear from the hallway the voice of Alex. Just give them whatever they want, for God's sakes! And then a door slam.
Oh. Whatever we want.
Well,
How about the
I have been informed that I shall be serving you. What would you prefer?
Let's start with his token.
Let's actually start with your dagger first, and if you guys want to go get it.
Sorry, which one?
All of them.
Certainly. He reaches behind his back, pulls out another one, hands it to you. Reaches in his sleeve, pulls out a very thin stiletto type of blade, hands it to you, reaches in his other sleeve, pulls another one in and out. Reaches into his hair, pulls out what looks kind of like a hat pin almost. Lays that down. Reaches behind his ear, takes out what looks like a razor blade in his other ear.
Any relation, Argenta?
Seriously.
I can appreciate it.
One does not raise to the stature I have gotten to, being unprepared.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
What would you prefer? Let's start with your dagger first. Sorry, which one? 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 Sorry especially with a noble as assertive as my lord. There have been many instances of insults that lesser nobles have decided to answer in blood and have paid in such.
I look down at his calves, tap with the flat part of the rapier, just making sure I don't hear any clanking of metal.
Ting, ting, ting.
Huh.
That is attached, sir.
Ah, okay.
I would prefer to not walk around my own residence barefoot.
No, I understand.
However, if you wish to see, he slams his heel on the ground and raises it up ever so slightly as a pretty, 8-inch blade sticks out of the bottom. And as he kicks it forward a little bit, it pivots so that it's now pointing in line with his toe. As I said, sir, it can be quite dangerous to be unprepared in this town.
So I am learning. Do any of the daggers look magical, or are they just plain Jane looking daggers?
The hat pin one doesn't look magical, but it has a residue of something on the tip.
Oh, it's like it's poison kind of thing.
More likely than not.
Yeah, okay.
If you'd like to ingest some of the poison, you can find out what the kind is.
I'm curious as to why you all of a sudden jumped to that, Jody.
I don't know. I thought you might want to try it. So I was just assuming. It's not like there's poisons that do 12d6 damage or anything like that in
I'm sure there's not, right?
DMG.
Okay. Anybody want these?
As you're kind of looking at them, the head of household kneels down and replaces the hidden dagger back to its kind of holding place in his boot.
Well, they'll set them down on a table somewhere. And
I must warn you all against interacting with the object on the floor over there. There are very strict rules that are enforced by powerful magic about how it must be treated. So if you wish to remain living, leave it be. I shall deal with it.
Do any of us know what he's referring to?
Yeah.
The Merovingian.
oh,
I don't think that's gonna. No, I think it's fine. We got it, really.
As far as the token for the thing, I'm afraid I was never told of its whereabouts. You will have to speak to my lord about that.
well, let's go do that.
I'm afraid my lord is rather indisposed at the moment.
No, he's fine. I'll go walking down the hall towards his room.
Yeah, I follow that.
I'll make sure I'm in between the butler and the vampire.
Yeah, the butler kind of positions himself as you try to walk past him. He just is always in your way. I must insist, sir. If you would like, I can go ask my lord if he would mind being disturbed, but I cannot allow you to pass.
I don't know how long it's been since I ate.
If
Oh,
you would like, I can have a meal prepared for you and your friends, and I can have my lord meet you at this meal. We have a wonderful cook here, and due to the fact that you all seem to have been through something rather extreme, I think it would do all of us a bit of good to sit down, have a meal, and unwind.
How tall is the head house?
Around 5'7" ish. Not overly tall, but not short. Average height for a human is anywhere between for a human male is anywhere between about 5'6" and 5'8", so he is exceptionally average.
So I want to try the big
You would have
brother.
you would have noticed when he was retrieving all of his blades and when he parried you so well that while he does not have much muscle mass, he is solid muscle underneath the very fancy clothing he wears, and he is remarkably well trained in combat.
Yeah.
With how good you are with a rapier and how well you did there, only a master would have been able to do what he did.
Yeah. But I don't growing up with my brother, I would always think that big brother abilities always trump skill. So I wanted to try and see if I can put my hand on his head and just push him back, like at arm's length.
Okay.
Like the big brother, kind of little brother thing.
Go ahead and make me a strength athletics check.
Oh, okay.
It's effectively a grapple check.
Yeah, that won't work. How about a 10?
Versus a nat 20.
Yeah, I didn't think it would work.
As you place your hand on his head, he places his hand on top of yours and steps back and leans down and hyper flexes your wrist. As you start to move down automatically, just because that's how your muscles work, he flips it around and you are on your back. As he just kind of turns on his heel, starts walking down the hallway and goes, "I will inform the cook that she will be coming momentarily."
Hey, if he left the hallway open, I'm going down the hallway.
As he walks past the door that Alex would have gone down, he closes it.
As I see him, leave,
Lillian, you're already down the hallway, or you're
as I
already
see
through the door.
him, as I see him leave the room, I'm just gonna sigh, and I'm gonna ethereal step and just move through the house in that direction.
Okay. Can you ethereal step to a place that you can't see?
I'm on the ethereal plane.
Oh, so you could just walk through shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how tricksy this place would be.
In a demi-plane?
Well, again, these people have a lot of money and access to a lot of magic.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to think, especially with the kind of undead aspect to this, and the fact that ghosts and things like that use the ethereal plane. I'll say make me a con save. If you try to walk through a wall. If you're just walking on the ethereal plane, you're fine.
Okay. I mean, I would try and walk through the wall, so that's gonna be a 20.
20 is good enough. You still take a little bit of damage as you interact with some sort of barrier that you can feel tries to actually knock you out of the ethereal plane. But you concentrate and are able to make it through. You still take 18 points of... sorry, that was backwards. 9 points.
Okay.
No, 4 points. That was a 3.
Okay.
It looked like a...
2 points.
It looked like a 10 and an 8 and it was a 1 and a 3.
Gotcha.
You feel some sort of magic kind of bar your way through and try to force you out, but you're able to kind of concentrate and get through it. However, as soon as you are through the wall, your ethereal form just ends on the other side.
Gotcha.
And you get the idea that these walls are specifically designed that a creature on the ethereal plane will be forced out of it.
I'm just
Though
gonna.
you think it was supposed to happen on the other side of the wall.
All right. Then I'll just make my way over to where I might hear Lillian and her friend.
Okay.
Since Argenta wasn't polite enough to open the door, I'm gonna go try the door. See if it's locked.
Yeah, the door is a little locked. And it's a really, really big, heavy door with a real
Oh, and
fancy looking little lock.
Hey,
When I
Vala.
hear the fiddling, I'm just gonna be like, "Oh, right," and turn and try and open the door from this side.
Henri goes up. Chicka, 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 chicka. Argenta's like, oh shit, I have friends. Or the, you guys ever saw the 90s Casper movie?
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Boom. Oh yeah, you can't go through walls. On the other side, you try and open it, and the handle is locked on this side as well, and you see a locking mechanism on this side that looks very different from what you're used to. There's a bunch of different like toggles on it.
I'm just gonna say it's not a deadbolt. It's something strange, kind of loud enough to where you'll hear it through the wall, and then
I can get someone out. Hey Vala,
Yes.
are you able to dimension door by chance?
Potentially. First, I would like to see, does the door look at all flammable?
Oh no. Oh no.
Well, it is made of wood. However, from your own experiences with setting expensive things on fire, this seems to be a door that has been treated in a way to make it fire resistant. You do know for a fact it will burn. It just takes a little bit of time to get it going.
All right. Vala will decide against trying to lockpick it with Flame Blade, and I'll kind of go over to Henri and go, all right, clench up, Legolas, and
No.
dimension.
I was gonna say you get commander. I'll get Merovingian.
Oh,
And I will say, meet you in the room, and I will visualize. It says I don't have to see it. It says a place I can visualize. I will visualize the room we were in before, the self-cleaning room
Okay.
in this house, and try and get me and the Merovingian to that room.
Okay. That is in the west wing, and the place everyone else is attempting to go is the north wing, just so you're aware.
Would I have seen the North Wing on my way
No.
here?
The north wing is the nobles' personal quarters and personal wing, so none of you were permitted to go in it, and the door has remained closed the entire time.
Yeah, since I've never seen that, it says that a place I have to visualize, and that's just one of the places I know where we could be alone, essentially.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure you didn't think you were going past or through this door, is all.
No.
Okay.
As long as as long as that's within 500 feet.
It's towards its limits because this is a massive estate, but yeah, it is.
wait, you're grabbing,
Vampire Lord.
okay.
Because there's
And what-
4 of us still behind this door.
And, sorry, okay. All right. And did you tell me where you're going?
Yeah, I said self-cleaning. I said I'm going to the room, but
I'm probably going to imagine it's the room where Alex is.
Mm-hmm.
So he's What ability is that again?
Dimension door.
Oh, just dimension door. Okay, so you watch him go thoop, and just vanish.
All right. I am going to try to figure out roughly how many feet and in what direction the room with Alex is.
The room itself, you have no idea because you have no idea of the layout. However, this door can't be more than a few feet thick. Like, not even a foot thick. Like, this is maybe... It's a really heavy wooden door. It might be 4 inches, maybe 6 inches thick. And
Okay.
you know there is a hallway on the other side because you can hear Argenta.
All right. I'll
Yeah.
shoot for about 10 feet forward
oh,
then.
Hold on. Argenta?
I will project
You
through the
just
door.
hear, you hear through the door. Yeah.
How much room between where you are and how far down can you see?
How big's the hallway?
You're in kind of another little antechamber, probably about 10 foot by 10 foot.
I mean, 10 foot by 10 foot, like, antechamber.
Sorry. I like the muffle.
I think he said falafels
Yeah, right.
Kerberterstadt? Is that a city here?
Are you hungry? Okay, so he said it's a smaller room, 10 foot by 10 foot, or something like that. I think.
By the way,
And
what's-
waffles.
What school of
Sure.
magic is
think
Dimension
it-
Door? Is that
Isn't it conjuration? Like
is
teleportation?
conjuration.
Conjuration?
Yes.
It is a 4th level conjuration.
Oh, for me, 5th. But
I
yeah.
was about to. I'm thinking of nobles that have access to a lot of money and magic might have warded their personal quarters from teleportation, but if it's conjuration, they wouldn't have warded it in a way that their servants couldn't conjure items for them.
So, how about we go baby steps and only go 3 feet beyond the door? I don't want to become part of furniture.
Vala licks her finger. Okay.
There's no wind. What are you doing?
Come on, Reginald. And
As you appear, you suddenly, Argenta, out of nowhere, 2 bodies appear on top of you, and you all tumble to the floor together.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Okay.
As you guys,
this is so much better than 10 feet into the room.
as you guys look around, one thing you do notice, there are sconces on the walls, really nice kind of candle holders that are attached to the wall that just look very extravagant. None of them are lit currently. This whole area doesn't. The only light it has is ambient light from a room further in, and the light that's kind of escaping from underneath the a very small amount of light coming from underneath the door itself.
I will.
You can see, but it's relatively dark.
But not me, right?
It's dim light, so
Oh, okay.
But
Let's say
it's-
it's human.
it is the dim light that is just a smidge before darkness.
I will use prestidigitation to light a few of the candles.
And as they light, it's a nice place. There are gold-trimmed chairs lined with velvet, red velvet. The whole place is everything is done in this kind of almost royal red and gold. Everything is gold trimmed, which is a little bit interesting because at least back in Ilmorn, nobles generally didn't use the color red. That was generally reserved for Lord Noctis. He has a very specific shade of red referred to as sanguine that he uses, but in general, just to avoid kind of pissing off the Lord of the Realm, nobody ever really used the color red for any of their heraldry. They would always, purple was really popular, blue was really popular, but red wasn't. So you find a little bit interesting that a noble would be not just using red, but like brazenly everywhere using it.
Rana, could you get off of me, please?
No, sorry. I'll
Thank
stand
you.
up.
Yeah, I'll stand up too, and I'm just like, I can only do that thing once a rest, and this house seems warded against it anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I can do that. Mention no thing again either.
Well, let's see where this next door goes.
There's only one with the light on, right? So
Yeah, there are two doorways off of this. One to the left, one to the right. The one on the left has light that's fading relatively quickly because whatever is holding the light has gone to the deeper. As this is happening, Liliane, you follow Alex through this kind of maze, and you watch him go into a really, really nice room. And you've walked through all of it, and again, everything is in gold and red. And instead of like going to the very large bed in this room or to one of the chairs, he goes to the far corner of the room to a wash basin and mirror attached to the wall. And you watch him put his hands on the side of the wash basin and twist it 3 different times, press it down, and then you watch as the whole wall just kind of folds in on itself, and he continues walking.
I get out, try to follow them more.
Okay. So as you go through, you go from the kind of gaudy red and gold to everything is in wood. Like, and it's all untreated wood, unfinished wood as you go through. And you kind of go to this smaller hallway that's barely about 4 feet wide. And in places you actually have to kind of go sideways a bit to get through, because it's this weird kind of in between the walls area that you're going through. And eventually it opens up into a room, and you see Alex in there taking down there seems to be desks, all these different desks all over in this relatively large room. And they have papers all over them and journals and things like that. And on the walls are diagrams of different things and what looks kind of like artwork as well, though the bits and pieces you can currently see don't look like any artwork you've ever seen before, as he is ripping things off the wall, and he's taking journals and ripping them. He's taken the candle that's lit on there, and he's just kind of placed it there, and he's just ripping things around. He kind of notices they're there, and he just shakes his head, and he just keeps ripping the things.
All of them. What is out there you
Just go away, okay? This. Wait for me outside. And he pushes past you, and more things. And there's a bookcase that he tips over, and then he looks at the candle holder like he's just seen it, even though he carried it all the way in here. and you see him pick it up, and he throws it on there, and he starts taking the things and starts lighting this fire in this entirely untreated wooden room. And the books start to catch. And he keeps throwing more the things in there. And it starts to get bigger. He just keeps throwing more the things in it. The walls start to catch. Throwing more the things in it, ripping more the things, throwing them in. He goes over to get another bookcase and tilts it over, and it falls, and he starts kind of pushing it and breaking it as he does. He smashes it with one of his feet and takes some of the pieces of it and throws it in there, and takes the books and tries to rip pages out and throws it in there.
I think you're getting it, Olive. When you have really to let go.
And if he hears you, he doesn't react. He just keeps picking up things and putting it in. And now the fire has gotten big enough that it's engulfed a corner of the room. And it's getting hot enough that you're starting to feel it on your skin. It's getting a little bit painful. Like sunburn level discomfort.
I could fire grab him and carry him out. Pull him and carry him out.
Okay. As you start to grab him, he just goes, "Just stop! Just leave me here. This'll fix everything." And tries to fight against you. But even in your weakened state, he really doesn't have the physical strength to fight you. Like, even everything you've gone through, you are a battle-tested woman, and he is most definitely not. If you want to force him out and, like, just carry him out, you can. But you're relatively certain he's going to fight you.
I would say I want you once, and that was the kid, and I will try to force him out.
Yeah, no roll required. You pick him up. In the kind of fracas of doing this, he does hit you a few times as he's flailing and screaming at you to let him go back, and he deserves this. Your nose is, by the time you're out, your nose is bleeding, there's a cut on your lip, and you have a scratch on your cheek. But he comes.
And are we like on their tails at this point or not?
You guys come in right as they're coming out, and you can see the hallway, because the hallway turns. You can see reflections of the fire on the wall. And it's obvious to you that there is some sort of fire creating the light. And it's obviously a relatively large fire because of how much light it is creating.
I'll Misty Step past Liliane and him to just see how big this room is.
Okay. The room itself is relatively small and almost entirely fire now.
I will then run into the middle of the room and draw my dagger, which extinguishes all flames within 30 feet of me.
Oh, dang.
No!
I'm going to say, with how hot the fire is at that point, make me a con save.
All right. But I'm good at least 24.
Oh, you're fine. You won't take much of the damage. 7, 20, half it to 20 to 10. 10 points of a fire damage as you go in and get a little bit singed. But as you pull your dagger, all flames are extinguished.
single tear rolls down Vala's cheek.
Why would you do that?
Argenta is the antithesis of Vala.
Pretty much.
Vala at this point knew who the true final boss of this campaign was.
It must defeat her friend.
Or just like as we're going down the
Starts
hall.
going full Batman on this. If I have to kill her, how do I do it?
I just turn to Vala and I'm just like, that can only happen once an hour. Don't worry.
I completely forgot that Ice Brand weapons can do that. So, Lillian, you would have seen all the light, and knowing how fire works, probably we're starting to consider ways to get out of this place before it became fired. And then all of it stopped. The light went out. The sound of burning instantly stopped, which is not something in this group you're used to hearing.
Yeah.
What would you like to do? Any of you that are here.
Hey, anybody know where Henri went to? I thought he was right behind us or ahead of us.
Yeah, I expected to find him here.
Speaking of shift perspectives, scene cut.
Just a corpse
seen-
laying in the corner as the vampire. No, just kidding.
Henri, go ahead and bring out your other character, since this one's dead now. Henri, as you dimension door into the room, it's already lit and everything. Lord Mayor of Avingian kind of looks around. Rather fond of that, aren't you?
Well, I mean,
as he kind of wipes the blood from the corner of his mouth.
had to adapt. Not as strong as the others.
Fair enough.
You know, it's funny. A year ago, I wouldn't have thought twice, and I would have just ended you right then and there.
Well, feels like another life since I had any power.
Place has changed me. I don't like it.
Changed you. How long have you been here?
Since it began, I don't know. I lost count. After about the 50th victim, I stopped counting.
I've been here my entire life.
You don't remember?
The strange part is, I remember the entirety of my other life. All 752 years of it. I remember the first day I stepped into the Blood Council as head of my house. It's a rather messy ordeal with the former Lord Merovingian. He, let's just say he thought he was much more clever than he actually was.
Well,
Whatever happened here didn't just create a land, a city, an area. It created an existence. An existence I remember every agonizing minute of.
Hey, Jody.
Yep.
Would I have like all my belongings from when I came into this place?
Yes.
All right. Well, this is probably a mistake, and I will pull out the Dark Lord's journal that describes some things. This dates back, I don't know how far. I've lost the ability to understand it.
He takes it from you, opens it up. Do you know what this is?
I was able to read some of it when I was his pawn, but not anymore.
I know how he did it.
I imagine
Or
it
I
involved a
will.
lot.
This describes 100 years of failure that he learned how to do this. And he just keeps flipping through it. If it didn't describe such horrific things, it would be brilliant. It boggles my mind that someone so evil, so bereft of any sort of morality, could come up with something so perfect is the exact right word for it. And as he keeps reading through, and we helped him. We did exactly what he wanted.
Me, I didn't have a choice,
You
but now I do.
You don't understand. I'm not talking about your little brief flirtation with manipulation and control. I am referring to the experiments we had been conducting for decades around breaking the barrier between the upper and lower planes. We were approached 60 years ago by a strange fellow. He said that he could give us an edge over Fenrish and Valakovia. If instead of having to rely on the Kale Isles, which had been cut off for centuries, if we could develop our own stable portal to the elemental kingdoms, and to the Shadowfell, then we would be unstoppable. We could take over the Three Kingdoms single-handedly. So that's what we did for 60 years, is experiment in blood magic to rip the one founding principle of interplanar travel of our world. The only way to the upper planes, the elemental kingdoms, was through a portal to the Feywild in the Kael Isles, and the only way to the Shadowfell was a separate portal in the Kael Isles. No other interplanar travel was possible. The only way to the prime material plane were two small portals that we didn't control.
I mean, I know a way into the plane of water. It's very painful. I wouldn't recommend it.
That didn't exist until we started our experiments. And we thought they were our own. But it's here. The exact designs are right here. He gave us everything he just needed. Trials done. We gave him exactly what he needed. And then he used us to create his perfection.
Well, I really don't care about this place, so if you help us end, well, I'm not going to say its name, you can do whatever you want with this place. I don't care.
Oh, this place is horrible. It shouldn't exist. We never intended for this to happen. But now that it's here, I'm babbling. Get your friends together. We can speak and plan.
I think at this point, they'll notice I'm gone, either think you killed me and come running, because I mentioned I was going to a room. I thought they'd put two and two together, but I guess I gave them too much credit.
I have never considered your friends to be having an excess of intelligence. And then he kind of catches himself. Apologies. I'm not quite used to speaking my mind anymore. It's,
Refreshing. No one here does that.
yes. Go find your friends before they try to kill me again.
All right.
He kind of sits down.
I'll save what last little bit of juice I have to get back here in case you need something.
I will meet you wherever that meal has been prepared.
I don't think we should go to that meal. Unless you need it. I'm not an expert on vampires.
They don't... They can eat. And they can take some nourishment from it, but their primary nourishment is blood. However, extremely powerful vampires like this, as far as you know, can go a remarkably long time without blood, without feeling too much of the effects of it.
I guess I'll come back for you when I find them. And did you manage to pick up any of those weapons that the other guy? Just in case.
I don't use blades.
All right. I'll set out, shut the door, find wherever they are.
Okay. The rest of you, back in the room.
I'm just sheathing my dagger again and kind of making sure that everything's good.
is Alex still around? Hanging on and
Now that the fire has stopped, he's kind of gone back to that kind of in shock existence he had before. He's gone over to the bed, his head's in his hands.
I'm gonna go over to the bed and like we just do that everything will find a way out. And that's why whatsoever we are
Okay. He seems to be kind of in his own world at this point. He does acknowledge you when you sit down, but he's not really responding that much. The rest of you?
Argent
Yeah.
is.
Go ahead.
She's just gonna ask, how do you undo the lock on that door?
He doesn't respond.
Alright.
I'm gonna begin looking through the things that he was trying to burn
Mm-hmm.
and see if I can get an idea of what was there, if there's anything that is unburnt.
Sure. Make me an investigation check.
I'll join in on that
Okay.
with her and cast guidance.
Okay. Then you can make it with advantage and add a D4.
Okay. Excellent. 23.
Excuse me. Searching around, you see scraps of paper and the things like that that are not completely burned that have bits of words on them. Most of that is indecipherable because you have parts of words and some of them are obviously almost medical in their terminology, to the point where you have no idea what the words are supposed to be. You recognize some roots, which is where you get the medical idea from. But you do start uncovering drawings and pictures that are slightly more into the tact, and the things that you find is horrifying. They are obviously captured using some sort of magic, and they are of mutilated bodies and other things of that nature. Things that look like autopsies done on living creatures while they were still alive, and other things like that, like just truly grotesque, disgusting things.
Does it seem that they are all on the things, or is it various different species?
None of them are the thing. These
Oh,
are
okay.
all just regular humanoids. You can see
Okay.
some elves. You actually see some where they were specifically cut up to resemble the physical features of others, like cutting a human's ears and taking pieces out and sewing them back together to make them pointed. Things like,
Okay.
again, truly grotesque, disgusting things.
Yeah. So, okay.
I'll just look at the others and go, I'm beginning to think he may have had the right idea.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, over, yeah, I never thought of that. I just didn't want to improve itself when we were doing it. But everything I was doing it.
You hear a knock. My lord, dinner has been prepared for you and your guests, whom did not seem to take my indications to mind. I can lead you all to the dining hall if you would like.
Hey, Jody, are there still bookshelves up, or he pretty much get them all knocked down?
Oh, they're gone, splintered.
Okay.
The one that is not burnt is in, to 27 pieces.
All right. Never mind.
Alex doesn't really respond, so the servant just kind of stands there next to him, waiting. I believe my lord is indisposed right now. May I request you all give him a moment to compose himself?
I think so, but watch him because I just point at the burn marks on the room.
Wonderful. Please leave now.
Yeah, I doing it. Was it intentional?
Sure.
Yeah, that would be a 4.
Yeah, his face is so good. He betrays absolutely nothing.
Oh, reason is I am with to Alex. Are you going to be okay if I leave? And
You see him kind of consider the question. Where's Rosa?
I haven't seen her since we arrived here. Since your brother here.
Don't leave her here. Whatever you do, do not leave her here. Okay? Sir, a good meal would probably help now. Allow me to take you there. And Alex just kind of stands up, and the servant just takes him and guides him out of the room.
I'll head out and try and find Henri at this point because we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll follow along with them.
would the servant have heard Alex say that would be?
He was close enough that it was possible, but he showed no. You wouldn't have been able to tell that he heard it from his expression. I'll put it that way. Though you probably wouldn't be able to tell if you stabbed him in the gut from his expression either.
I will follow the group.
Okay. He takes you back through the room. You see him kind of wave his hand over the various toggles on the locking mechanism. And he does movements so quick and so precise that you guys don't even catch what he does, and then it opens. And he leads Alex down to the lower level, and then off to another room where you guys are where the dining room is. And unfortunately, that is where we're going to end it for tonight. Sorry, tonight is a little bit early, but I am absolutely exhausted, and I'm starting to nod off in the middle of this, which is incredibly rude to my players. So we're going to stop there for tonight. As always, if you missed any of this, I do upload all these to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/TrainerJody. They go live on Sundays. You can watch the entire series there. I think we're on like episode 66 or 67 at this point. We've been going for a while. Otherwise, again, that is all for me today, and I'll see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.